Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today to this class. Do it yourself with Canva. This is going to be a great class. It's about graphic design, and it is a very interesting class. Canva is a great tool for small business owners, and I think you can get a lot of good design using this app. So we're going to start. If you have any questions, you can use the chat window or the Q&A to put your questions, and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. Welcome to UNR Extension. This is a small business education program. My name is Reyna Mendez, and thank you for joining me today. Okay, so let's start with the outline for today. We're going to talk about what's Canva. We're going to talk about developing free content. And I'll give you some suggestions to create successful designs. And as I always do, I like to provide you with an action plan, so you're able to put into action what you learned today. Okay, that's very important. Remember that if you don't apply what you learned, then you tend to forget about it. Great. So before we start, I'm going to talk about fun facts. I think these 3 fun facts are quite interesting. The first one is that Woody Allen uses the same font for his titles and credits in nearly all of his movies. That's what I call brand consistency. So if you go to the history of his movies, you're going to find that he always uses the same font, which is Windsor. And yeah, it's brand consistency. Another fun fact is the Nike swoosh was designed by the graphic designer Caroline Davidson in 1971. She was paid $35 back then. With today's inflation, that will be $235 with 93 cents, which is not that bad actually for a logo design. A logo design can rank from $250 up to $500, $600, depending on the, how difficult is the design. So she wasn't got paid bad. I know that back in 2018 or 19, I think Nike gave her they did like a dinner for her to kind of say thank you for the design of the logo, and Nike gave her some of the shares of the company, and I think that they were valued $1 million. So that was awesome. And the third fun fact of today, it's the Apple logo. The first Apple logo that was out there and was designed by Ronald Wayne in 1976. As you can see, it's a very difficult logo to replicate. And that's the reason why they changed the next year in 1977 for the logo that we know today. But I think that was a great move because this logo really is very difficult. It is hard to visually, is very heavy, and it is very difficult to replicate. So that was a good thing that they changed this logo, and it only lasted for 1 year. Okay, so let's start with this webinar today about do yourself with Canva. And so first, we need to know what's Canva. Okay, what's Canva? Canva was launched in 2013. Canva is an online design and publishing tool with a mission to empower everyone in the world to design anything and publish anywhere. That means that every person is able to design or come up with a good or professional design using this app. Why? Because they have templates for users to use and replicate visual content. Canva is a platform that is a freemium platform. Freemium means that it is free. Some of the features of the app are for free, and premium content or premium features are going to be priced. So I think for the free version, it is enough for a small business owner. I don't think you need to go to the paid version in case that you want to, or that you have really like a big team of people that is working with you into creating content for your social media or content for your digital marketing. But if not, if you're doing it everything on your own, I'll say go for the free version. Anyway, I'm going to give you some of the pricing so you're able to see if it's convenient to you. So Canva's statement or Canva's taglines are designed for everyone, sorry. And the other one is everything you need to design like a professional. So pretty much it's telling you that no matter how bad designer you consider yourself, you're still gonna be able to come up with good templates with good content and with good design, no matter your design skills. What are the benefits of Canva? I'm giving you three what I consider the most important benefits for your small business or as a small business owners. One of the benefits is gonna save you time. If you are in charge of designing content for your company, for your small business, Canva is going to be it's going to help you to accelerate your workflow. Sorry. Why? Because like I said, Canva has thousands of templates in each category. For example, it has templates to create something in Facebook. It has templates to create something in Instagram. It has templates to create a Facebook ad, to create a Twitter post, to create an email marketing, to create presentations, brochures, flyers. So it has tons and tons of free templates that you're able to use to benefit your brand, okay? So that you don't have to worry about dimensions, the size of the post, because it's already there. You just need to change those templates to your own wording, of course, and the tagline or the statement of your company. But other than that, it is already there. It's already designed. Okay, you just have to follow the design. So that can save you a lot of time. The second benefit is that your designs are going to look professional. Canva produces good design. And that's why it's one of the most important graphic design apps out there, because it produces good design. Even for designers, even for people who already know how to design, how to, handle the colors, the shapes, the structure, the dimensions. Even for people who knows how to design, is still a good tool to use. The third one is that you're going to be able to take control of your own brand. Why? Because you're able to create positive first impression and you're able to create a brand identity. Why? Because you're able to save different templates for different social media channels or different social media strategies. Like I said, it could be an email marketing, it could be an interactive PDF, it could be a landing page, it could be, a brochure. So you're able to take control of your brand because you're able to create something that speaks for your brand. Your colors, you're able to replicate the same kind of design, the same type of colors, the same type of font, and you're able to create a library that speaks for your brand, okay? Give me a second, I think I for some reason. Oh, no, it's good. Sorry about that. Okay, so developing free content. Okay, I already know what's Canva. I already know the benefits of Canva. Now, how I start to develop this content. First, you have to create an account. Okay, it's a free. You can use your email, you can use your Google account, or you can use your Facebook. You have to go to www.canva.com, and then from there you're able to create a free account. That's the first step. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Canva pricing plans just because there are some options to get the pro version for free if you are or if you belong to these industries. So it might be good for you to know this information. The first pricing plan is the zero, of course. The name of the account is free forever. And pretty much it's at no cost. You're able to access to thousands of free templates, 100,000 plus design types, social media posts, presentations, letters, landing pages, even website design. And so you're able to also to access to a media library that has hundreds of thousands of free photos, graphics, videos. And also you're able to create your own team. You're able to invite people that has free accounts also. And you can create like a group where you can share your content. Even they're able to do edits on your content, and then you're able to do edits too. So all of you are going to be connected into working on those projects of different pieces of content. So you're able to collaborate in real time, and you have 5 gigabytes of cloud storage. It's okay to storage your content in the cloud, but I suggest you to have like your own file, or maybe like a backup file with all your content, just in case something happens. So it's better to download the files and then put them in a backup file, okay? Now, how you can get Canva Pro without paying? Well, you basically have two options. If you are a nonprofit organization, you're able to claim that Canva Pro for free. And then you have access to more videos, to more audios, graphics, and certain designs that are premium. And I'm giving you the link to apply at the bottom in case that you are a nonprofit. And they're going to ask you a few questions, and probably they're going to ask your license or more details about your nonprofit, but they will give you free access to their Canva Premium, the Canva Pro. Another way to get Canva Pro is if you are involved in education. And for example, you're a K-12 teacher, you're able to get Canva for Education, which is the Pro version free. And again, you're going to have access to all the things that all the features of Canva Pro, like, you know, premium designs, premium videos, audio, stock photos, and you name it. And you're able to create like a classroom, like a virtual classroom for your students. It will give you that option. Now, if you're not a nonprofit organization and if you are not a teacher, K-12 teacher, then the Canva Pro is going to cost you $12.99 per month, and it will give you 5 licenses. So 5 people is able to use the same account without paying another $12.99, which is pretty good. So divided by 5 people, you're ending paying like $3.275 per person, which is a month, which is not bad. But like I said, if you are a small business owners, if you're a small business owner and you're just starting your business and you're doing your own content and you are basically the only person in that business, I'll say just save the $12.99 and go for the free version. Later on the webinar, I'm going to tell you where you can get those stock photos for free, where you can get free videos, and all those things, so you can start to create your media library, so you can use that to create your content in Canva. Okay, so don't worry about it. And okay, I talk about what's Canva, what are the benefits, the pricing, and now I want to show you. I'm going to do a live demo. We're going to go over the app a little bit. I'm not going to show you everything, but I'm going to try to show you the main features. And I just wanted to let you know that this presentation was made with Canva, all of it. And I hope that you can enjoy this live demo. All right, so I'm going to start with that. And if you have any questions while I am demonstrating, and just use the chat window or the Q&A. Okay, I'm able to see it and then respond. I can just pause and then respond to you. And we're gonna go over the live demo, and then I'm going to show you an example of a Facebook ad that I did, and then we'll go from there. They have like a design school, so you can go directly to learn, and they have a lot of tutorials right there, and they have the pricing section. So let's go to templates. You can go here, and then you can choose whatever you want, or if you know exactly what you're looking for, just go back. My internet's slow. I'm sorry. Okay, so if you know what you want, you can go directly to search. For example, if I'm looking for an Instagram video. Sorry, my there you go. Sorry about that. So you're able to see some of the real videos, some templates that they have. And what I always do, because I only have the free version, I just go, I scroll down and then I go to free. And then it's only going to give me the templates that are for free. Okay, so that way I'm not wasting my time seeing Pro when I'm not able to use it. Okay, let's say that I'm looking for a Facebook ad. Okay, so right there, again, I scroll down, I go free, and that's what I get. And you're able to work this menu right here and kind of choose what you want, you know, the kind of style that you want. If you want something modern, you want something more classic. Even you can choose colors, like if you're looking for something that is according to your brand, you can choose the color that you want. You can choose blue, yellow. If you don't find the color you need in the color selection, you can just go here to the plus to add a new color, and you're able to find it right here. So it's very simple. It's not complicated at all. It's almost like, you know, it has the same features that a PowerPoint or any other program that is really, really user friendly. Like you see over here in templates, there's a lot of different templates. You have Instagram stories, you have Instagram posts, you have Facebook posts, Facebook covers. And I see that a lot of small business owners struggle with design because they don't know the dimensions. They don't know the size they need to work in order to post in social media. So with Canva, you're not going to have the problem because everything is a size in the correct, everything is with the correct size. So if you choose an Instagram story, it's going to be the exact size that you need. You don't need to figure it out. You don't need to do anything. You just click on the Instagram stories, pick one template, and change the text. If you want to change the image, you could do that. I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to go through an example in a minute. I just wanted to kind of show you how the homepage looks like.
Reyna, real quick, I just want to double check that everybody can see your screen. Can you please tell me on your side that you can see the screen for Canvas window? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay. So it all depends on what you want, but it has everything. You can do invitations, you can do postcards, you can do presentations, even you can create websites. You can create landing pages. You're able to create flyers, posters, brochures, newsletters, even email marketing. And even they have a small portion for education. They have lesson plans, worksheets. There's a lot of things to design. You name it is here. So it, like I said, it's very easy. If you don't find it in templates, you just go to your search and you just put what you want, and it'll show you what they have. So I'm going to go to an example right now. I'm going to do the same example that I did yesterday in the Spanish class, which is this one. Sorry. This is the example that I did yesterday, and I did it in less than 10 minutes. This is a so I'm going to show you how. But first, I want to show you some of the features that I have here. So I'm going to tell you how I get here first. Give me a second. Sorry. Okay, so I went to the search and I just put Facebook ad, right? And I didn't choose a template. I only chose create a blank Facebook ad. But just go here. And then it will take you to the other window, which is the editor, okay? So of course it's blank, but I'm going this is my left, yes, the left side of the bar. you're going to find the templates. You're going to find, for example, this template. You just click in there and it will give you here, and then you'll be able to start to edit in. Okay. You can change the picture, you can change the letters and all that stuff. So I'm just going to add a blank page here to practice. Okay. So you have elements. Okay, so these elements are basically lines, shapes, icons, and things like that that you can use. For example, you can choose a circle and it's just gonna post it there, okay? Or a rectangle, right? Or a line. So all those things you're able to insert on your template. Then you have this. It's very important for you to start to work on this when you create your free account. This is the uploads. And it's going to take you to a media library, okay? It's basically the place where you can storage all of your photos, your own photos, your own videos, and your own audios. This is really cool because you can upload your logo. I mean, if you have different type of logos like the transparent or the vertical, the horizontal and stuff, they give you different type of logos you can use. So you can upload them there, and then you're able just to go to your media library and then use them. You can also upload stock photos. And you can upload videos. And I think it's really cool because you can organize your own photos, your own footage for your industry, for your small business. Okay, so and that way you already have everything organized and you don't need to go back and forth to try to find, you know, other galleries, or you're like looking for the picture at the moment or a video at the moment, and then you're going to lose time. So I recommend for you to start to create your media library. Canva also has photos. They have free photos, and also they have photos that you have to pay for them. It's usually like $1, $2, depending on the type of the stock photo that you're looking for. But it's usually like $1 if you want to buy it in order to use it, okay? But also they have a lot of free photos too. Okay, so let's talk about text. I don't use these that much. You know, they have like a, you know, like a templates already that you can use. And for example, this one, Sparkle, you can just hit there and that's it, right? I don't use those that much because of the type of industry I am in. I don't really need that type of headlines, right? But if your company, you know, it's about entertaining and things like that, you might be able to use those Sparkle letters or headlines. So I recommend to go to these three. Okay, so pretty much you have the heading, and then the subheading, and then the body text. So if you click here, it's going to give you a box of text, and then you're able to change the font like you will do in Word or in any other program. So it's not really difficult. And you're able to use different fonts. Now, from the design perspective, don't use complicated fonts. I know it sounds like also boring, you know, I really want to use this one with, you know, so many, you know, like a manuscript or like a book and things like that. But when you're going to make like a Facebook ad, or you're going to put some text in your social media channels, I recommend to be a clear type of letter. Typography is very important. I know it seems like you have a lot of options and you're crazy about trying everything, every single font that the Canva has, but stay with the ones that are really simple, and stay with the ones that are really legible, like people are able to read, because remember that this is about being visual. So don't go too crazy with crazy fonts, okay? And like in Word or any other program, you're able to change the size of the font, of course, okay? And you are able to change the color too, you know. It's the same thing. If the color that you're looking for is not here, you can click on the plus and then you're able to find the color that you need, okay? You can try, sorry, you can try different colors and all that kind of stuff. So let me see here. Okay, so one thing that you need to know about Canva is that Canva saves everything while you're doing it. So it's always saving, it's automated, okay? So if you did a design prior and you want to replicate that design, just changing it a little bit, I recommend for you to create a copy and then work on the copy. Because if you work on the original, it's going to change everything. So you need to be careful with that. It happened to us. Like the other day, Mike was working on the slides and I was changing something and then he changes. I was like translated to Spanish and then suddenly part of his, part of his work went to Spanish and then English. So just be careful with that. Try to make a copy and then work on the copy and leave the original alone.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about that now, Reyna, but when it happened, not so fun. Not so fun.
I know it wasn't at the moment because I totally forgot about it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really affecting the original piece, and I'm just here translating, and it's okay. I mean, but I just wanted to let you know that that's you have to keep that in mind. Other things. Transparencies. I want to talk about transparencies a little bit because it's something that is happening right now with design. There's a lot of like layers. So Canva has those. If you go to elements and then I'm just going to use this rectangle. Okay. You're able to see on my right side this. Right here, this option, it says transparency. You can click here and then you can make your object or image or picture or video go transparent, okay? And then you can use different layers, right? Like, for example, this one, and then you can make it more transparent like that. And then you have to. So this is very common. When you're using a lot of color, sometimes it's just too much. It's too much visually. So they use transparencies to kind of like tone it down. It still looks colorful, but with that filter for the eyes. So transparencies are something cool to use. If, like I said, if you use a lot of color because your business, it's about color, then you can use transparencies for sure. Other things. Okay, so I talk about elements, I talk about dimensions, effects. Okay, right here you can animate. You can animate your design right here. Okay. By the way, my presentation was made in Canva. So you're able to use animation, which I think is really cool. They don't have that many choices, but I think the choices are just fine. Remember that to create posts in social media, especially in Instagram, for example, there needs to be movement. So Canva can help you with that, can help you to animate whatever, design you're making, you're able to make it animated. Also, we have, okay, text, filters. Okay, downloading. Okay, let's say that I finished my design. Now what? I want to post it on my social media. So you can post directly from Canva to your social media channel, or you can download to your computer and then save it there, and then use it to, then you can do the uploading directly on your social media channel. But basically, right here, you can find download, and then it will give you a suggestion, but you can change it. You can change it to PDF. You can change it to JPEG format. You can change it to PNG. If your design contains movement and videos, of course, it's going to give you MP4 because it's gonna save it as a video. And if you did like a short clip of different pictures, you can save it as GIF. So they have a different, I think it has the main formats. The formats that you need are going to be PNG, JPEG, PDF, and MP4. So those four are the most important file extensions that you need to use.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a question. Would you need to do a logo on a transparent background to layer it on something later, like over a color or a photo?
Huh?
So do you need to create a logo on a transparent background?
Yes.
So later you can use it over a color or a photo, just for, you know,
Yes.
maybe protection of your creations and things like that.
Yes. Yes, you can, like, if you don't want your logo to be, if you want to put it, usually to protect the design, people tend to put the logo on the center, right? Because if you put it on the edge of the design, the people can crop it and it's okay. They can use the rest of the design. So usually the logo is going to go on, the watermark is going to go on the center. And what you can use is you can use transparency on your logo, so that way it doesn't look that off, on your design. But yeah, definitely you can use transparency for your logos. And I recommend that, actually. Every single piece that you design for your business, it has to have your logo or some kind of contact information, some kind of call to action. Because if you just design something and doesn't say anything about your company, that piece of content is going to travel to so many places and they're not able to recognize your brand. And remember that when you create designs, graphic designs, you are creating it for brand identity. You're creating it for brand recognition. So it is very important that your logo is there, okay? Or at least your main contact information. I hope that I answered the question. Then you can connect your accounts with Canva. You can link your Facebook page. You can link your Instagram. You can link your Twitter. So if you want to post directly from Canva to Instagram, you could do it, okay? So you have the two choices of download the content and save it in a media library or save it into your computer, or you can post from there, use the cloud to storage, use a Canvas cloud to storage your design and post from Canva to your social media. So it's up to you what you wanted to do. To be honest, I do prefer to do it directly on my social media channel because I'm able to write whatever I want, and then I prefer to do it that way. I don't like to post directly from Canva, but you know, as you wish. Other thing that I like about Canva, I know it's a lot. I'm trying to be as, you know, just to talk about stuff that I think that are important. But in Canva, you're able to resize videos. For example, I'm just going to choose a video right here. Just go to videos right here. I'm just going to choose one. All right, this one. Okay, so I have this video here. Okay. But some videos are like 12 seconds, 24 seconds, 25 seconds, like, you know, 1 minute. And remember that in your social media channels, you need to post short. If you're going to use videos, it need to be short. Okay. So make sure that it's not longer than 10 seconds. And as you know, it could be 5 seconds, it could be 6 seconds, but I wouldn't suggest to be more than 10, depending on the social media channel you're using. For example, if you're using Instagram, it should be between 5 to 10 seconds. But if it is, for example, a Facebook page, it could be longer than that. So it all depends. But what I like about this is you're able to just select the video and then you're able to trim it just right here. Sorry, my internet's slow. Okay, so 0.7 seconds. So you might want to change it to only 5 seconds. Okay. And then hit done. And then now the video is shorter. So that's pretty cool. It's really easy. It's, you know, you're not gonna have any problems with that. So get familiar. I just wanted for you to get familiar with the editor, you know, I cannot show you everything, but that's something that you're gonna have for homework. So let's do the example that I was showing at the very beginning. I need to move this. Okay, so let's go into replicate this ad, this Facebook ad that I did yesterday for the Spanish class. It's really easy. It looks really good. You know, it's simple. It goes direct to the point. It has a video, so it's really cool, and it's not gonna take that much. So let's do it. Let me erase this one. Erase this one, and then I'm gonna add a blank page to do it right here. Okay, because I use this video, I already have it in my media library, so I'm just going to click right there, and there you go. Okay. So I can resize the video according to my proportion, according to my dimensions. Okay, so I'm just going to do this. Okay. You can crop it. It's right here. Whatever you're not used, whatever portion you're not using, you can just crop it. You can accommodate your video. Okay, and then crop. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I have the video right there. Okay, I'm gonna play it. Okay, so I got that. Now I need the headline, right? So I'm going to go to text, right? I need a headline right there. And my headline was view, open, and then right there. And then the open looks like that. Okay. So I want to make these ones white. I don't want them black. So I'm go to my color. Just right here. Okay, so I'm going to go to color. I did them white. Now I want to make them bigger. So I'm going to go to the size font and I'm going to make it a lot bigger. There you go. Okay, but I don't like the type of font. So I'm going to change it to something more cool. So I'm going to choose. Let me see. Gagling. That was the one that I chose yesterday. There you go. So I'm going to choose that one. Okay. It's fun, but it's readable. Okay. So it's good. Then I'm just going to kind of make it more over here. Okay. And then I have a yes, right? So I'm going to add a subheading right here. There you go. And I'm going to write yes. Right? And then I am going to change the type of letter, the type of font. And I use for that one, I think I use Lemon Tuesday. This one. Okay. So I'm just going to make it bigger. And I want them in red. Okay. Because I want to stand out that yes, you know, we're here. We're still open. And then here, you're able to see those arrows. If you click by keep clicking there, you're able to move it. Okay. So I'm able to do this right there. Okay. And then it has an underline. So I'm just going to go to elements. I'm going to change for underline. Which one is the one that I chose? I cannot find it. This is Pro. There you go. This one. Okay. So it has a cool effect. I'm going to leave it white. And like I did with the jazz, I'm just going to move it a little bit. Right there. I mean, do it smaller. There you go. Okay. Looking good, huh? Now, the other one has a call to action. It says order now. Okay. So that's basically an element and a text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert element. I'm going to, it's so slow. Okay, so I'm going to choose this shape right there. Okay, and it's color red. And I can resize it. Okay. There you go. Then I'm going to insert text, subheading, and it's order now. And it's, I'm going to use another letter. I'm going to use Josephine. There you go. Josephine, and then I'm going to change it to white. Because black with red, it doesn't look good. So it looks a lot better with white. There you go. Order now. And then I have like a tagline that says a smile in every slice. So I'm going to add a subheading and I'm going to put a smile in every slice. I'm going to change the letter. I'm going to use the same font that I used for Jess, which it was Lemon Tuesday, I think. Yep, that one. I'm going to change it to white. Maybe I'm going to do it a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to move it just right here. Right? And then I'm going to watch it full screen. And there you go. Okay. That's how easy it is.
Reyna, is there like an out of center feature? I mean, how do you make sure it's center, you know, align things? Are there like special rulers or special tools?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're able to see these. Can you see those lines? Those pink lines? Are you able to see them? Those little lines are showing you that we're still open is with the right dimension with the yes. It's in the same, how do you say it? It's
horizontal position.
Right.
Vertical, horizontally, right. It is aligned.
Now, what you can do, right. Now, let me show you something that is going to be very helpful for you. When you use a lot of headings like I did, you know, like different, I'm gonna move this because it's not letting me move it. Give me a second. Let me move the video. Okay. Okay. What we can do is we can integrate, we can group all the headlines together. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go to the yes, and I'm going to select, I'm going to select everything. Can you see it now? How everything was selected? And then I'm going to go to the option that it says group, and I'm gonna click there. So now everything is one only group together. And that way it's going to be easier for me to center it. Right? It makes sense? So this is an easy way to group everything that you're using because you're using different headlines here and there. And then at the, you know, you don't want to be moving each one to be able to center, right? So you group everything together, and then that's how it becomes like an image altogether.
And that is easier to copy to another part,
right?
And you
exactly.
you can ungroup it, right?
Yes, you can ungroup it if you need to, or you can keep it grouped, and then that way you can use it in other different designs. Okay, because you already have this together. But maybe you want just only group order now. You maybe want to group only the smile in every slice. So you can, you know, you can work it in different ways.
Okay, once we group it together, how do I make sure it is all centered?
With your pink line.
Okay.
That one. You see the
because
pink
that was
line
one
right
question.
there? That pink right there is showing you are at the half right there. Okay. So make sure to look for your pink lines, because those are the ones that are going to give you the direction that you need to. All right.
Thank you.
So I already have my ad. Now I'm able to download if I want to. So I'm just going to here. It's going to suggest you, because it's a video, right? So you're going to save it in an MP4 extension, okay? Then it's 2 pages. I'm just only going to use the page 2. And then once you're done, it's going to go down. Okay, and that's what it's doing. And it's going to save it on your library, on your computer. If you want to publish directly to Facebook, you could do it too. You can just click here and it's going to post it directly on my Facebook, because I have my Facebook is linked to my Canva account, so I'm able to do it. So it's, you know, this is how easy it can be. It only took me less than 10 minutes to do it. And let me open the video so you can see it. Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, I don't know if you're able to see the video though, but it's there. Okay, so that's the live demo. I'm going to go back to the presentation because I wanted to show you some other things, and then I promise we're done. Okay. Here. Did you see my presentation again?
Yes.
I think perfect. Yes.
Okay, my presentation was made with Canva completely. Okay, so I'm going to give you some suggestions to create successful designs. Okay, I strongly recommend you to use the templates only as a guide. Okay, you always have to kind of make it original or a little bit to your brand, according to your brand, according what you want to project. The template is only be useful for you to guide you through the design. But at the end of the day, you have to try to be original and create your creative side. However, if you are going to use a template, a Facebook ad template, there are going to be some elements that you need to respect. For example, a Facebook ad is always going to have a call to action, like I did right now with the order now, okay? So that's a call to action, order now. You cannot change that. You cannot not have a call to action, okay? So the elements of the template, you have to keep them because there's a reason why they have those buttons. They design that way, okay? What you can change is the layout, the design, the picture, the video. Maybe you want a video instead of a picture. Maybe you want a more impactful picture, okay? So those things you can change. But the main elements, you don't need to because they're there for a reason, okay? Another suggestion is look for inspiration. I know that most of you are not good with design. You know, a lot of small business owners struggle with this designing and design content and create content. So look for inspiration. Create a file that with content that grabs your attention while you're browsing your social media channels. Okay, it could be like you are on, I don't know, on Instagram and you're like, oh, you know, this looks nice. I really like this idea. So just create a file. It's like a backup file. When you don't have any inspiration, you can go to that file and get a lot of ideas from there. Another suggestion for you is organize your brand. Decide what you want to do with your brand, which direction you want to go with your brand. You're going to do email marketing. Are you going to create a newsletter? What social media channels are going to be more important for you? Like you need to have presence in Instagram. You need to have a presence in Facebook. You need to organize, okay? You need to create content that is going to be useful for your industry. So that way you can create a file. I strongly suggest to call it brand kit, and you can divide it into categories. Like, for example, you can create a category for Facebook. When you're going to save content exclusive for Facebook, you're going to design for your email marketing letters. You're going to design for a brochure. Okay, so things like that is what you need to do. You need to organize right there. And then other things that you need to do is to really sit down and see what are your colors. What are going to be your branding colors? For example, the university, we have navy blue, we have silver, we have gray. So I'm able to use all that type of colors, right? Because those are the colors that my branding colors. So you need to define which are your colors. Try to come up with different types of logos, like the transparent, the watermark logo. You know, you have 3 or 4 different types of logos. And then what are going to be your teams too? Like if you're going to create content, if you are in insurance, for example, what kind of content can you create if you are an insurance agent? What people want to know, what kind of information you're going to deliver. So those ideas, you need to organize them, okay, in order to start to create the right designs.
We have a quick question. Says we may not have the time, but I would like to use it to design a website. How can Canva help me beyond logo, headers, and footers? Just summarize, you know, what is the potential of Canva? Remind us.
With Canva, you can do everything. You can design a website with Canva. You can design a brochure with Canva. You can create from basic things to the most complicated tasks with Canva. It's how good it is. Of course, you need to jump on it, and you need to start to experiment with the platform, use it here and there. But you can create a landing page in 10 minutes. Let's say that you're going to have an event and you want to share it in your social media, but you don't have time to hire a web designer. You don't have time to upload this landing page to a complicated website. You know, you can do a landing page. You can create a Bitly link, and then you can share it in your social media, and people can go to that landing page. It's easy as that. So that's really cool. So you can do a lot of things with Canva.
In that example, the landing page doesn't have to be inside your domain. It's basically just a one-time event, one-time promotion that you can do that. Okay.
You can do that. You can create one-time link. Once your event is gone, you can disappear that, or you can even use the same design for another event, or use it as a template for another event that you're going to have later. And you already have your template because you already did once. You can just change the image. You can change the link, of course, because it's a different event. If it's going to be a Zoom event, for example, you're going to change the link, of course. But like I said, you already have a template. You already have a landing page, and you don't have to struggle with graphic designers or with your web developer to do it for you because you don't understand how to do it. I'm not saying that you don't have to have a web page. Of course you have to. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Canva can resolve immediate problems, okay? For something that you need right now and you don't have the time to figure it out, okay? So that's how useful Canva can be. Okay, so another suggestions is create your media library, okay? It's going to save you a lot of time. If you have 1 hour free or 30 minutes free, start to search for stock photos. I'll give you a link at the end of the class where you can get stock photos for free. And they're pretty cool photos. These photos that I use for my presentation, they're from there. and they're for free, okay? So search for images, videos in different file extensions or different file formats like PNG, JPEG, PDFs, MP4, and things like that. Okay, and another thing is first impressions. It is very important to work on headlines. Think about them. I'll provide you a link where you can find the most common headlines of how to attract people with those headlines, because there are like 7 or 6 different ways to create a headline. Okay, I'm just giving you one example right here of like a result, like immediate resolve or solve problem headline. Okay, I'm using learn how to play guitar in 30 days guarantee. That's a headline. And that's a headline that we call like a solve problem headline, because you're saying that this person is going to learn guitar in 30 days. So you're being just right to the point. Okay. And if the person is really interested, it's going to click on your ad. So this is how it needs to be. You need to work on your headlines. You need to learn what kind of headlines are good for your type of business, or what kind of headlines are good to bring people, to attract customers. And I'll give you that link at the end of the class. Oh, I forgot about practice. Sorry. Practice. Learn to design through practice. I know that a lot of people says like, I'm not creative at all. I don't understand color. I don't understand shape. I don't understand dimensions. Well, that's something that you are going to learn if you enter in contact. You have to be in contact to color, shapes, dimensions. And once you start to practice, you're going to start to learn. You're going to start to develop creative skills, design skills that you never thought that you had. Believe me. This is the way that you are going to start. Practice. Okay, now let's go to the action plan. I like to give you an action plan at the end of the class, because I think that's if you don't apply what you learn, you're going to forget about it. So your number 1 task is going to be create an account in Canva. I'll provide you the link in the resources portion. You're able to link there, and then you're able to create your account. Number 2, start with the template. Only focus on change colors, images, and typography. Just do those 3 things and repeat like 3 or 4 times until you dominate how to change colors, images, and typographies. Okay, this is the second task. The third one is start creating your media library. Pick up some 50 images and videos about your industry, okay, and create your library. Because that way you're able to create your own branding, identity, okay? Another thing is that the 4th task is going to be create 4 impact headlines for your next content. And I'll give you the link that I was talking about, how to create good headlines, okay? The number 5, practice transparencies, insert videos, and insert elements using your brand colors, okay? The number 6, replicate. Try to choose 3 or 2 designs that catch your eye and try to replicate them in Canva. Remember, if you do not put into practice what you learn, you don't retain it. And this is very true, okay? So you need to practice. It's not about being in this class and then let's say, okay, yeah, it was fun. It was a fun class. The slides were colorful and that's it. You have to put it into practice. Okay, so resources. I always like to give you some resources for you to, if you want to learn more. So this is the place where I always find stock photos, like I said, the ones in my slides are from this website. Its name is unsplash.com. Okay. And videos. The videos for free, you're going to find them in this website, pexels.com. They have a lot of videos from different industries, and they have short videos like 10 seconds, 12 seconds. They also have longer videos, but are for free. Okay. Then I'm giving you the canva.com. You can create the account right there. And I'm giving you the direct access to their design school, because Canva has a design school where you can find a lot of tutorials. Those are completely for free, and it will teach you a lot of things, okay? And also I'm giving you the link to our virtual classroom. And in English, we have one in Spanish and then we have one in English. So you can access to our virtual classroom from there, and you can see all the classes are there. This class is going to be uploaded later too. So you can access to other classes that you have missed, or we have also like quick tips, we have short videos, we have all kinds of stuff. So you can go there, take a look, and let us know how the virtual classroom is working for you. And I'm just going to give you this book. I found it very interesting. You can find it in Amazon Kindle for free if you have the membership. If you don't have the membership, it only costs like $5, $3. And it's really cool. It's gonna give you like professional tips and tricks. This person is a designer, is a graphic designer, and he's been using Canva. So I think it can give you a lot of insights about the app. And that's it. Well, pretty much we're done today. Definitely the first steps are always practice. Okay, you're not gonna learn any app without practicing in the app. So take action, and I think this is a fun class. I think really the Canva is very useful for small business owners. Because like I said at the very beginning, we wear so many hats. And definitely marketing is one of them. So we need to get better at it without putting too much effort to, because we don't have that much time. So I think Canva definitely can be a lifesaver for you as a small business owner. If you have any questions, you can also send me an email. My email is mendezr@unr.edu. And have happy and beautiful designs for this weekend. Take care, Juan. Take care, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for being here today.